The film opens in a dystopian world made up of genetically mutated plants. Every animal has been wiped out, and there are no traditional food sources left for humans. The only place with sufficient resources is a city called the Citadel, but only a limited population is allowed into this closed city. Furthermore, the seeds grown in this place can only germinate once and cannot reproduce on their own. With no food, this is the main source of nutrition for humans. The Citadel is run by powerful people who like control, so they have created human-like robots called jugs, which lack free will and emotions, to serve the city and its citizens. In such a harsh environment, a 13-year-old girl named Vesper lives alone in a remote forest, taking care of her ailing father Darius. The two communicate through a genetic drone that Darius controls. He can see, hear, and speak through it, which makes Vesper feel less lonely. She continues to repeat her life, following the same routine every day. Her daily routine consists of foraging for food, caring for Darius, and occasionally visiting an abandoned laboratory to experiment on plants. Like most people in this world interested in genetic engineering and biochemistry, Vesper is a self-taught biochemist hoping to bring back nutritious plants to Earth. Her father doesn't like her hanging out in the lab because it's unsafe, but he can never convince her otherwise. One morning, in another such endeavor, the two come across a pilgrim who is collecting junk. Rumor has it that these pilgrims are sick people who go around collecting junk for some unknown reason. Vesper becomes curious when they take the junk away, but Darius doesn't let her investigate. His wife left home in a similar state a year ago, so he takes special care of his daughter. While spying on the pilgrim, Darius hears a sound coming from their house. Upon running back, they find that someone has sabotaged their generator, which is why Darius is alive. Vesper quickly fixes the pipe, but she has to get a new battery installed immediately. The only person who can help them in times like this is Darius' brother Jonas. He is an evil man who exploits children and raises them for their blood. With said blood, he trades food and seeds with the people of the Citadel. Vesper arrives at his place to find a child trapped under a broken structure. He cries for help while Jonas and his children sit waiting for him to die. When Jonas feels bad for the child, he gets another to stab him to death. The scene is disturbing to everyone present, but no one dares to speak out against their boss. Vesper is welcomed and asked to trade her blood for the battery. She does as she is told, but later learns that she will be able to get the batteries only after a day. Vesper tries to escape with her blood, but Jonas catches her red-handed and pushes her out. Not one to give up, Vesper waits for a while, then sneaks into Jonas' farm. She immediately regrets it when she sees a dead child being dismembered for her blood. Ignoring this disturbing sight, Vesper goes into the storage, where she is met by one of Jonas' henchmen. Jonas ignores her, as he knows she is not a bad person. Before fleeing, Vesper steals some batteries and a seed from Jonas' collection. On her way back home, she sees a pod from the Citadel flying up. It was going to Jonas to trade seeds for blood, but Vesper had more important things to do. By the end of the day, she brings the batteries back to her father, saving his life. The next morning, Darius sees the seed and asks Vesper where she got it. She makes up a lie, but is unable to fool her father. They have an argument, causing Vesper to angrily run off. Then she notices an injured girl lying in the middle of the forest. Several slimy creatures are sucking blood from her leg, indicating that she has been there for at least a night. Vesper thinks that the pod from yesterday may have crashed and the unconscious girl was in it. She helps the injured girl and removes the creatures from her body. At home, she puts a bacterial band-aid on her which helps her wounds heal faster. The next morning, the injured girl wakes up in a frenzy, looking for her father. It turns out she was in the pod with her father, who was still somewhere in the forest. She also promises to take Vesper and her father to the Citadel if they help her find her father. Vesper desperately wants to be a part of the Citadel and live a better life, so she agrees to give it a chance, even though her father is against the idea. That night, Vesper makes worms and broth for dinner and talks to the new girl. She introduces herself as Camellia, a member of the city of Citadel where all amenities are in abundance. As they talk, Darius starts having a seizure. Vesper panics, but Camellia comes to his aid and kisses her father. Interestingly, Darius calms down and goes back to sleep. Camellia explains that all the people of the Citadel have such powers granted by genetic engineering. Deep in the forest, she finds him alive. However, just as she is about to help him, Jonas and his army of children arrive. Jonas despises anyone from the Citadel and doesn't want to see that man alive. Vesper cries and pleads with him to consider otherwise, but her uncle kills Camellia's father. Later, Vesper returns home and tells Camellia that she didn't find anyone in the forest. She now wants to keep Camellia safe as Jonas searches for another traveler in the forest. Vesper has finally started to trust the new girl. She tells her about her interest in biotechnology and brings her to her private garden. Camellia is surprised because the 13-year-old girl has designed a Citadel-level garden in the middle of the forest. It has plants that have never been seen before. She would love to see Vesper's work and take it to the Citadel for further experimentation. Vesper thinks to herself that this will never be possible, but she still doesn't tell Camellia about her father's death. Upon returning home, Vesper tells Camellia that her mother used to sing really well. One day last year, she woke up and her voice was gone. 2 days later, she ran into a pilgrim, so Vesper believes that a person becomes a pilgrim when he or she is infected with a virus. She also knows about the Jags and how they are used to serve the people of the Citadel, but she thinks that the Citadel would be a better place if they allowed humans to serve the people instead of genetically modified Jags. Camellia explains that the Citadel likes control, and Jags who have no free will are easier to control than other humans. The next day, Vesper and Darius drone go to Jonas' farm again to get more batteries for the generator. Darius goes first, but is caught. Vesper goes after him and sees Jonas torturing the drone. He has found out about the previous theft and has killed the kid who was supposed to guard the farm. Vesper then watches her uncle in fear as he destroys her father's drone, destroying her only way to communicate with him. By now he suspects that the pod's extra passenger is also with Vesper and asks her about it. Vesper shakes her head in panic and says no, but the man doesn't listen. While he's distracted, she runs off with the drone. Jonas sends his henchmen after her, who run and eventually catch her. Vesper screams in fear. She doesn't say a word to Camellia, suddenly bursts into tears and hugs her. After a while, she calms down and tells Camellia about her father. They go to a pond in the forest where her father's corpse is floating. Camellia bursts into tears and screams, hugging her father's lifeless body. Vesper takes him outside to calm him down, but while doing so notices a mark on his back. These marks are similar to those of a genetically modified Jag. Vesper is shocked because this means the person she has been sheltering for so long is not even human. However, she is confused because Jags are considered nothing but robots, and Camellia is definitely not one. Jag eventually reveals that her father was her creator, and that he committed a serious crime by giving her intelligence. When their pod crashed, they were flying away from the Citadel because Camellia's father was going to be convicted for creating her. Vesper realizes that Camellia was never going to bring them back to the Citadel and was using her to get to her father. She pushes the saddened girl away and returns to her father's house. After the drone is fixed, Darius reminds his daughter that Jags must obey their masters, so Camellia was just doing her job as one. Outside Camellia's home, she shows him a miraculous plant that was the first specimen to reproduce on its own. Vesper still has to work on it and perfect it, but it means the world can return to its normal form. Later, she checks Camellia's DNA and finds the codes of the plant's DNA encrypted within it. Upon closer inspection, it turns out to be a way to fertilize the seeds once grown to create more seeds. Camellia's father had made a great discovery, which is why the higher authorities of the Citadel were pursuing them. With this information, Camellia and Vesper decide to go to the Citadel and enter it by taking refugee status. There, they plan to shed light on the discovery and put an end to all the world's current problems. Vesper goes to the lab to get some important stuff, but before she can return, Jonas arrives at their home. He sees Camellia and immediately recognizes her as the other passenger of the pod. At first, he tries to convince her to give up. Camellia tries to seduce him, but Jonas doesn't fall for her tricks. Eventually, Vesper returns and a struggle ensues. The girls somehow manage to slam Jonas' hand on the table and calm him down. Vesper could have easily taken his own life, but he decides otherwise. She tells him her plan and asks him to shake hands. Jonas thinks for a while, but returns home without responding to the proposal. We learn that he was contacted by the Citadel and tasked with finding the wise jug. He calls them and tells them about Camellia. A few hours later, a strange wave of sand hits the house, causing a panic. Vesper and Camellia climb onto the table, but are surrounded by sand from all sides. A few seconds before they touch down, the wave stops. The two think they are safe, but in reality the sand has found Camellia, which means an army from the Citadel will soon be coming to find her. Camellia says they have to leave the house as soon as possible, however, they cannot take Darius with them. Vesper doesn't want to leave her father behind, but he convinces her that she will have to take the hard way this time. Finally, Vesper and Camellia pack up and leave. They don't get far when an army from the Citadel arrives at their house and blows it up. Vesper sees the house engulfed in flames and tries to run back before Camellia stops them. Elsewhere, the rest of the Citadel arrives at Jonas' house to kill him, as they don't want to leave any trace of their evil deeds. Likewise, the people also find Vesper and Camellia in the forest, leading to a chase. Vesper, who knows everything about the forest and plants, uses her knowledge to her advantage, however, and the two somehow end up meeting. Camellia knows this too, so she suggests that she surrender so that at least Vesper can stay alive. Vesper begs her to reconsider, but Camellia announces her decision and parts ways with her new best friend. The next day, Vesper wakes up with no one left. With a heavy heart, she goes back to the remains of her home and retrieves the only remaining seeds that were burned outside. Jonas' henchmen join Vesper and follow her to the lower area where the pilgrims live. In the last scene, Vesper reaches the pilgrims' tower. She doesn't speak to anyone before climbing the tower and getting a full view of the city of Citadel. In the last scene, Vesper blows up the seeds and sets a new goal to avenge her father's death.